What's up, everybody, man? Hey, and welcome back to the Man Cave, or welcome to the Man Cave if you're a new listener, but all the returning listeners, hey, welcome. Hey, it's a pretty good day today, man, and we got something in store for you guys. As always, we appreciate you listening in, just spending a little bit of time with us and seeing what it is we have to say. It's just two dudes chopping it up, having an authentic conversation, being real vulnerable and transparent. So, man, my wonderful co-host, my friend, brother from another mother, Ron Serving. What's happening, man?
Oh, man. I know you've mentioned this in the past, and I probably haven't as much as you, but I think just every moment leading up to our conversation each Tuesday, most Tuesdays, is just amazing, because I think we sometimes we don't know what we have to talk about. Sometimes we have, ideas in our mind that we want to, kind of connect about. This is kind of one of those nights where, we didn't really talk before we had a conversation about what this might look like. But that's the beauty, I think, of being authentic, being in the moment, being, kind of willing to be vulnerable on something that comes up that we have no idea where it's going to lead to. And I guess just being honest right now with where I'm at in my life, and really, trying to create these ripples in people's lives and my own life. And just anybody that may listen to a portion, of this podcast or other podcasts we put out there, just know that that's, what our goal is. I mean, for us to, kind of create that space, but also just to give you a little bit of like, that's an interesting perspective. I don't necessarily agree with it or kind of feel like it's not me or what I connect to, but I can honor that these two gentlemen are putting their own thoughts out there and not judging them, and not feeling that although I may be judging them from afar, it's not something that deters them from putting this out there. So I guess I just wanted to take a little bit of time to applaud us for our willingness to put out probably close to 30 podcasts now with our superheroes and all the other ones that we didn't number. And the other thing I was kind of thinking about, just for you, the listeners, was, and hopefully you won't be, I guess you wouldn't be offended by it, but going back to some of those early podcasts and probably leaving the ones there that we did, but revisiting some of those topics. Because I think the show has evolved, we have evolved, kind of our thoughts have evolved to the point where it would be an interesting kind of revisit of a topic that might still resonate for us in a different way, and sharing that. So a lot of words tonight, had a little caffeine, so feeling pumped up, ready to go. With my buddy here, Cedric, and just kind of a little chat before, just connecting with him and things going on in his life. So just honored to be here, honored to create the space. Yes. And ready to dive into the topic for the day.
Yeah, man. So tomorrow's the 4th of July, 2018. Wow. Independence Day. So it's a pretty interesting topic that we'll be talking about, that you brought up, like right when we got on, like, hey, how about we talk about this? And I joked with him, and the topic is freedom, guys. So, we're two different people from two different backgrounds. We have a 50-something-year-old white male and a 30-something-year-old black male, different backgrounds. And I was jokingly like, hey, we could take many different aspects on it. But keeping in tune with what it is we do and our mission, to the world, I'd like to keep it around just life in general and wellness. Because I feel like if we go down any other of our own personal beliefs, we could kind of step on a lot of different toes when it comes to the political and the racial thing, although those are good topics. But in keeping with our overall mission, that's where I would want to go. Mm-hmm. But who knows, man? It's authentic. Who knows what thought will come up, like go down that road and be like, wait a minute, man.
But we go back in the deeper parts of the cave and explore a little bit, huh?
Yeah, and I got my family listening. Usually pretty much every night, man, they listening in, and I'm sure they could pop in some stuff. But so in that light, Ron, like, and it was your topic, man. Like, what resonates with you when you think about freedom in your life, or have just freedom? And I'll just leave it there.
So when I thought about the topic, and what resonated with me was, I guess where I'm at in my life and feeling that I have created a sense of freedom from, limiting beliefs about myself in the past that have, kind of kept me from, being the version of myself or the future versions of myself that I'm really working hard to see come, into my life. So as you mentioned, there's so many different variations of what freedom means and all the different areas that we could discuss and open to discuss. But I was just thinking about when I saw a couple American flags, on the way home, and just thinking about that. But just really feeling just the freedom that I've been able to create in my life because of my willingness to dig deep, my willingness to, kind of challenge myself, my willingness to explore some of those darker areas where, almost felt like bound by these thoughts and feelings and experiences that kept me from stepping forward. So that's kind of what came to mind, more so than the 4th of July being tomorrow. And I'm not offering up an apology for that, but just more I'm being authentic, and that's kind of what came to mind. And knowing that that's possible for all of us, right? I think we have experiences or create experiences in our life or have these limiting beliefs about who we are as individuals that limit, our ability to understand and feel that sense of freedom that we can feel within that, is those emotional, kind of chains that keep us bound to a previous, life or kind of a lesser version of ourselves. So just feeling like there's times where I don't feel completely free, and then I recognize there's some work to be done there, and knowing that I'm in control of that. But just feeling like at this point in my life that I can stand up and just yell it out loud that, for the most part, I'm free of a lot of that baggage that I've had in the past. And it's still a work in progress. I mean, it still kind of comes into my mind from time to time, but just feeling that lightness that comes with the sense of being free. So I guess 2 words, right? Freedom and feeling free to express myself, free to be me, free to allow others to be themselves. And freedom for the most part from those crazy thoughts that once, ruled my life much more than they do today.
Ah, cool, man. That's what's up.
How about you? I mean, I think you're, obviously, you have had, a life that has led you to where you're at today, and, kind of experiences that you look back upon that, kind of got you to where you are. What do you feel in related to freedom that really resonates? Because it could be quite different than what I'm experiencing right now.
It's kind of along the same lines a little bit, man. Honestly, I used to have some different, like, at one time, freedom for me was like not being told when to go to bed and when to wake up, and not wearing a certain color uniform,
right?
And not being behind those bars. That was freedom. But then, for the longest, I thought it was all about the money, and that would give you freedom. Then I made a little bit and wasn't so free. But now where I've progressed to, it's what I'm finding now, and more as I meet with my coach and develop, work on me, I'm starting to realize for me and for a lot of other people, and I think in the world too, is really, I wouldn't say being fearless, but because it's going to well up in you, but being able to face your fear and chase something that you truly want, although fear is present, because that's where the freedom is. The freedom is on the other side of being able to step through that fear, be it judgment or whatever, because then you're free to experience life, not being afraid to communicate with my other one. So I can be, not be held by any limitations in my relationships, in my work life, in anything, as long as I'm able to get past the BS, which to me kind of equates to fear of whatever it is, me feeling some type of way, something happening to me, whatever. But that's how I look at it now, just being free to live and experience life.
Right.
In that sense.
So a couple things kind of came up when you were saying that. So one, I've never really, I guess, slowed down and listened to Fearless a little bit more. So what I was thinking about and kind of came into mind was fear less, to just kind of an interesting, just kind of in the mind.
I mean, that's exactly what it spells though, huh?
Fear less, right? Because I think you and I know sometimes fear can serve us well. I mean, fear doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing. So that's kind of what came to mind. But I would be remiss if I didn't feel a need to express, especially knowing tomorrow's the 4th of July, and this is kind of changing the channel a little bit, of just freedom, right? Freedom that we have in our country for the most part. When we look at how many, many millions of people live their lives that we sometimes take for granted, the type of life that we're able to live because of our choices, because of the people that have fought for our country, for the people that have made those hard decisions or sacrifices to allow for us today to, and that happens, it's happened for many, many years. It continues to happen today. Some of those, unsung heroes that we, don't always hear about that. So I don't always do a good job of really being that patriotic person that when 4th of July comes around, it seems to be, or Memorial Day, or, those seem to be just those, for me, and I'm being very honest, more of those token times to bring up the whole idea of patriotism and how, our country was founded and all the things that have gone into where I'm at today in my life. So I think I'm obviously using this venue, knowing tomorrow's the 4th of July, and showing my patriotism by speaking this way. And I guess it's making me now be a little bit more appreciative of that freedom that I, maybe don't really connect to as much as I should, just to really have a better, kind of overall appreciation for everybody that's, does sacrifice for the better or the good things in the world. So,
yeah.
And I know you've been part of that in your past, and not asking you to go there, but has been part of your journey to serve, in the capacity you did. And I think that's always, something you'll remember and have experience from and learned, and, good and bad, through that experience. So freedom to you, obviously related to that, has a much different, probably, story and connection to, what I'm saying. And I think that's important, right? Because we all have the different stories and how that ebb and flows through our experiences.
Yeah. It's kind of the same though, man. I mean, not trying to downplay it or anything. But sometimes I think people put those that served in the military in this, not high, well, yeah, a little bit higher bracket or a different bracket when it comes to, Independence Day, Memorial Day, and mainly independent, and freedom. Like, man, you guys fought for our freedom and all of this. I mean, yeah, we served in the capacity for it, man. And it's, for me, it's like, it could be many different things, but the capacity I served in was really just for us, and being able to go to different countries and come back, man, is to realize like the freedom that we possess is really choice, man. And it's so cool to be able to say, man, look, whatever capacity I was in, help somebody be able to stay here in America and still have choice, because there are a lot of some places you don't have a choice,
right?
And it's kind of cool. But because I have, like, we got to be authentic. But for me, sometimes I feel weird because, I mean, I went knowing what could lie ahead. I volunteered, and that's what it was. It wasn't like a true serving thing. It was just like, hey, let me go. And this was my job. And just so happened, it's the protection. Because when you're doing it, well, for me, I wasn't really thinking about people back home or freedom or any of that. And I don't know if I'm downplaying it, but at the same time, I have to be real about it. Like, I get it, but sometimes, like, some of us feel like, hey, we were just doing our duty. Like, that was my job. It wasn't like it was like I deserve any special kind of thank you for doing my job. It was, and I guess that's the line between a civilian and a serviceman. Like, for us, we don't see it. We see it as, I'm just doing my job. Like, it's cool, but you don't really have to thank me. That's how I kind of look at it. It's like, you don't really have to thank me. I signed my name on that line. That was a part of my job. I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah, but I recognize that, and I think I think most professions you can look at that similarly, right? Because we give sometimes appreciation to those that provide a service to us, and that kind of that same response could come up that you don't have to thank me. I was hired to do this job. I signed on to be an employee for for San Marino, and that's my job, versus feeling a need for that thanks. But I guess for servicemen, you're putting yourself in a position where it's not the norm, right? You're in another country. You're taking actions that you may or may not be prepared to take, and that's just because you have to. So yeah, I think there's, from a civilian standpoint, I mean, there's that, that part of me that feels like that would be an extreme challenge for me to ever have, entered into that space of, doing what you've done and others have done. So I do, feel like that's an admirable attribute about yourself. But, there's also things that I've done in my life that, could be looked at as being, a very, bold step to take forward to move myself or others towards a bigger version of themselves. So I think it's kind of how you look at it. And, I think that's, but I think this is interesting because now we've talked about three different areas of freedom. Me talking about, freedom from, pain, freedom from, thoughts that, no longer serve me, freedom, now we're talking about, freedom, just more patriotic freedom and just, those types of things. But you also brought about freedom of choice and, choice as a result of, service and things like that, but also just in our lives, we have that ability to create choices and provide us with the freedoms that we're looking for just on a regular basis. Freedom from feeling overweight, freedom from feeling all these other things that we have that are struggles in our life. We can create space and opportunities to either look at those things differently. We have the freedom to do that, right? Nobody controls our thoughts. We are the designer and author of our story. So we're making those decisions, either consciously or unconsciously, to move that story forward. So I think it's that willingness to look at that's part of our freedom, right? As our innate freedom to make choices in our life, and not to feel like these are the only choices I have. We have freedom to create some new opportunity. You and I decided to just go into health coaching, life coaching, and start a podcast and all these other things. We have that freedom to make those choices to change our life. So I guess for the listeners and for you and I think that's another way to look at freedom and how it plays in our life, and how we can understand a little bit more about how we can create these freeing types of responses to the actions that we take. Or opposite that, we could do something that freezes us up, make a bad decision and then, kind of be, oh, why did I do that? And then it like limits us, and we think that we don't have the freedom to take actions because we've failed, or we, let somebody down, or, we make the wrong decision and there's a bad result, and we just kind of let it go. And we don't feel like we have that freedom because we lose that confidence in ourselves to take those actions. And freedom that you once had, I mean, another kind of way, to look at it is the freedom that you once had before you had a child, right? Some of those, right? The freedom to make decisions in your life to, go work out or go for a walk or make a phone call, or, now those are freedoms that you don't necessarily have at your disposal because you're a responsible parent. And so I'm interested to kind of see how that freedom that you once had as a man, kind of creating this new entrepreneur, business, how freedom's kind of felt related to a new addition to your life.
Yeah, man, I have a funny story with that, man. Talking about fatherhood, because we were at a buddy of mine's house, and so then sitting there, and somehow we get on the movie, like going to the movies or some movie we want to go and see, and I'm like, well, yeah, let's just go. We can go tomorrow. And she was like, what, we gonna bring him with us? And I was like, oh yeah, we can't bring a newborn to the movies. Like, you forget about it sometimes because it's new. I never had to think about that.
Right.
So like some of those things are new. So you're definitely right. Some freedoms have been given up, but for good cause. So, oh man, that's funny.
Yeah, you don't want to forget about your kid. And all joking aside, right? Because not that this is a topic that we're tapping into. Sorry to put my glasses on to kind of better see. I'm an old man. Those actions that we take because of our our forgetful mind and the freedom that we once had, and now we have to kind of change our thought process to not forget that. Forget you've got a young son that's waiting to kind of be fed or tended to or cared for. He's still at the early stages of development, obviously, and needs his dad to be there for him. So,
hey, but I'm getting parenthood down though. I'm getting forgetful because I got all these to-do lists. It's like, oh crap, I forgot to do this. Oh.
Right. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing tomorrow. Obviously, it's a holiday. It's 4th of July. What is your normal tradition to experience tomorrow?
Well, my normal tradition, I'm not really doing for a bit because it was generally a pretty expensive tradition. Like, I would just go buy a bunch of fireworks and like literally put on like my own fireworks show. But yeah, I mean, kid, move, all of that good stuff.
Right.
But it's going to be different, man. Well, one, I'll probably work for a little bit. And after that, just to me, it's like, man, a day just to be free, to be around, the people you love, man, and enjoy them and enjoy where you're at, which is, and I mean, you're in America, so wherever you are, that's home. So, hey, just enjoying it. Like, all right, cool. For whatever it, follows around me. It's just barbecue, hopefully, some macaroni and cheese. It's going to be a classic day, like for me, or a celebration day, or a cheat day for those of you that follow diets for whatever reason, because those don't work. That's another day.
So knowing you have gone through some, different understandings or feelings and thoughts around freedom, when Messiah becomes of age to where you feel like there's a conversation that would be something he could actually grasp and express himself, or at least understand kind of what you're telling him, how might you share the word freedom with him?
Um, Honestly, like I look to groom him to or from a place of being able to step through your fears,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and understanding that fear is really a catalyst, or I wouldn't say a catalyst, but most times it's that underlying thing that causes judgment. You know, you're scared what people might think of you. You're scared that you would fail. You're scared that all of anything can relate back to fear, you know, as one of, because it's this and fear. So, but I think the motivating thing or the momentum causing thing is to step through that. And I'm learning that through my experience in life. So that's how those conversations will kind of, you know, hopefully we'll have an open communication like, hey man, you know, Dad, I'm worried about, you know, going for school council or the little part in the play, you know, what if, and, you know, start young, like, hey, well, let's work through that. Why are you? And getting him to understand, hey, that's a little bit of fear, but let's just work on just trying to go through it and just let them know that although all this BS is in your head, you make the choice to go through, because that's the freeing part. Because if not, you're imprisoned by your mind and by your fear of whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't want that, because it sucked. It took me a long time to learn this junk. So,
Yeah. True.
like, what it looked like for you, and like, what, and how is it working out? You know, you're already there, the teenager.
Yeah, and I think when you were speaking, it was kind of where I was going with it was similarly to you, just the whole idea of experiencing and understanding what it feels like to be free. You know, free to fly within, you know, kind of who you want to be in your life. You know, how you can express yourself fully. You know, to be free to be yourself and without any type of worry of judgment and you know, am I good enough? Am I, you know, all these, you know, thoughts that I've at times been challenged with. You know, feeling free to do whatever you want in your life, to always aim high and know that that's always achievable. Not just, you know, settling for what's possible or probable, but chasing the impossible and feeling that that's a way to feel free of your fears and to face them at the same time. I mean, to know that, you know, that's such a boy. I'm going to see Dada.
See, I'm free to do the podcast, man.
That's right. But just, I guess that whole, you know, kind of what ties into obviously freedom and kind of what we're speaking about tonight on a whole, just feeling that sense and appreciation and, you know, acknowledgement of what it feels like to be free. And you know, that's, as I've mentioned before, that's, you know, that's my life work. It's not something that I think I'll ever feel completely free of all guilt or all shame or all, you know, these other things that I've experienced in my life. But it's that awareness that they're there and acknowledgement and moving away from judgment and just being free of that, right? It's not necessarily thinking that I'll be completely free of those thoughts, but it's just, oh, there's that. I can have a freeing thought around letting that go, as far as, you know, kind of what that represents, or what how it had represented my life previously, to where it doesn't have that, you know, impact on my life today. So it's just that overall feeling of, it's like flying, you know, flying in the, you know, when you see birds flying through the air, just that sense of freedom to spread your wings and be all that you can, and to not feel that there's anything limiting you other than your own beliefs or your own limitations or what others have put on you to keep you from, you know, again, flying like you've never felt like you could fly before. And I, you know, there's times where I've, you know, kind of looked to the skies and have seen a hawk or something that represents that, just that total letting go of all these other experiences that we put, you know, value on. That just to see an eagle in the sky just looking for food, you know, or just, you know, kind of checking out the world below, and just to have that sense of purpose that's, and without all of the data that goes along with it, it's a very cool thing just to see and just know that that's, obviously we're not birds and we can't be free of thoughts, but just to equate and be connected to nature in that respect, to feel that sense of freeing that you can allow yourself to maybe achieve or experience on a more subtle level, to really gain some, all the benefits that go along with, going through that understanding about yourself. What's up, Messiah?
Say hi, Ron.
And this, I guess what we do here is very freeing, it feels very like freedom for, us to create this space of being free with our thoughts, being free with our, our emotions, being free of, of judgment. There's probably a lot of people out there that have tuned in and listened to a little bit, and it's not for them, which is perfectly fine. They have the freedom of choice to connect or not connect. We have the freedom to say, you know what, we're done with this and let's do something else. But we choose not to. We choose to, keep this amazing fire going within us to really create, these opportunities to share and grow and never feel like, oh, we're there. We don't need to work any harder on who we are. We have that freedom to, kind of tap into an even more awesome part of who we are. And why not, right?
And we got the freedom to wear dresses.
There's that. So yeah, maybe
I'll have to go back and listen to others. I'm not telling you which one, but it's in one of our previous episodes about the dress.
So yeah, I don't know if that'll ever be you never know, right? The man cave might be conducive at some point to letting down our garden, and I wouldn't say you're going to see us wearing a dress like we did for a live event, but I guess that's just maybe as we talked earlier about, revisiting some of these topics around vulnerability, which was one of our earliest, if not our first conversation. That was a pretty vulnerable point for me in my life, to put myself out there and have photographs out there, probably all over Facebook and in people's minds, of us wearing these crazy dresses. So yeah.
And enjoy the night. But yeah.
But it was freeing, right? I mean,
man, you beat me to it. I was going to say, man, that was so liberating, so freeing.
Right. And I shared, I know I'd shared it with you and others, just in conversation, that there came a point, which I don't know if it's something to brag about, but where I forgot that I was even wearing a dress. It's like, why are these people looking at me? I'm Ron. They know who I am. It's like, what's the big deal? Why are they like looking my way?
Jumping around.
Oh, that's right. I've got a freaking woman's dress on. That's right. What are you going to do about it?
I might want to stop that. Oh,
and that's what, I think as we've, kind of, and for those that are new listeners, you could go back and track our early talks and kind of realize when we actually came together and started having these conversations. We've only known each other for a little over a year. I mean, I was thinking about the other day, it's like we started our coaching in May of 2017. And then we actually met each other in November of 2017. And we started our podcast in the latter part of November 2017. So here we are, July of 2018. And you guys, you know enough about us to where we've kind of evolved in this conversation and our friendship and all these things that have allowed us to feel that this man cave is part of who we are as men, and putting this out there as it is now. And it's gonna continue to evolve. We're looking to, just a little sneak peek, just kind of what's up to come, or what's up and coming is a lot more live, if not the norm, then just every option we have to be more and more authentic, and creating that space for you to tap into that is our goal. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what the universe has in store for us as men and coaches and people in the universe that are trying to create space for others to tap into their greatness.
Yeah. Man, this has been a good talk, man.
It has. And I think sometimes our willingness to just, because there are certain topics that come up that we're like, God, we really need to talk about that. And then we create that space for it. Other times, I think it's our willingness to just kind of whatever may bubble up, that day type thing. And this is kind of one of those days. And again, each one of these topics that you, the listeners, might listen into, there may be one or two that resonate, or part of those that resonate with you that, you can say, hey, that's kind of cool. That's, different insight. I never thought about that. And what our ripples are reaching the right people. And, if you feel like that would be a value to somebody else, share, not as as a way to necessarily grow our viewership, but just to the listener, to create ripples in other people's lives. As health coaches and life coaches, we understand the benefits of us, providing a service to, these amazing people that we connect to, but also we have the understanding of, who do you know? Who do you know in your life that might benefit from that? So, use that, your willingness to gift this to somebody else. If it doesn't resonate for you, it might be that exact thing that somebody that's struggling with one of these topics, really might benefit from. So I encourage you to share. I encourage you to, not, kind of keep it within, and to, allow this to, kind of reach out to others that might benefit from it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I concur, because this, like, though, the returning listeners, y'all know what it is. Y'all know we just do this to create the space to give to people. And if you're new, we create this space to have something is from a place of service. It really is. It's not about us. It's really about the whole reason we came up with this and all of that, just to have some real conversation, man, just to be able to put it into the atmosphere, and hope, with the intent to help somebody and the hopes that it will reach somebody.
Yeah.
And if it does, great. And, we just ask that y'all, pay it forward, keep the chain moving. If you resonate with it, gift it to somebody. It's our gift to you. So this is one of those times it's okay to re-gift. But that's just me. But yeah, man, we appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm thankful and appreciate y'all for allowing us to be in this space, and Ron and Anthony for even writing the letter that got it all started, man. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And just, think about the topic that we spoke about tonight, and don't feel like there's a need to have a certain spin on it. Just let that word freedom just kind of sit in your mind, and let it manifest and kind of ebb and flow through your life however it may. And maybe you might open up some space for you to kind of look at what freedom and the feeling of being free, is in your life. And maybe there's some options and opportunities for you to expand your own, world, to where, there's that ability to kind of tap into some of the things that we don't necessarily always tap into and appreciate and really have gratitude towards. So I truly appreciate you, the listeners, and, being here, and stay tuned, man. Some exciting stuff to come.
Yeah, definitely.
And really excited, kind of with the direction we're going in. And we're, as we've mentioned before, we're in it for the long haul. Viewership doesn't drive our desire to do what we do. So it's great, and we love it. And we, hopefully that's something that benefits you. But what drives us to continue to show up each week is our willingness to be the best men we possibly can be in our lives. So, yeah.
Well, y'all, it's been such a pleasure hanging out with y'all today, man. With you, Ron, it's always a pleasure. And guys, hey, man, we hope you enjoy. And that's my adieu. I love y'all. Namaste.
Namaste, y'all. Have a great evening, buddy.
Hey, you too. And happy 4th, y'all. Independence Day. There we go.
Yes. Take care.
All right.